they will be in this position behind the moon. If their checks have gone, and they're happy, if their checks have gone all right, then Stafford and Cernan will crawl through into the lunar module and separate from John Young in the command module to a distance of a couple of miles. At that point, they'll then spend an orbit and a half, more or less, going round the moon, while Stafford flies the lunar module in all angles possible, so that John Young, looking out through the windows of the mothership, can check that the outside of the lunar module is as it should be and the legs are deployed properly. If they're happy with those checks, then at 9:20 on Thursday evening, they start the first part of what this mission is for. The lunar module spins round, and using its big engine here, pointing the way it's going to slow it down, they drop towards the surface of the moon. And at 10:10 on Thursday evening, they hit the low point of that path, 10 miles above the surface of the moon, above these landing areas upon which 11 will go down in July. At that point, they've completed the first half of their mission. In other words, they have simulated the descent down towards the moon of Apollo 11 in July. If everything's gone well to that point, they then spin round, and using this engine, they boost themselves out into a very high orbit behind the moon, reaching 200 miles out for a rendezvous radar check with the mother ship. Then they swing back in again, past John Young. Incidentally, Young has been following their every move in this circular orbit out at 69 miles, ready to punch in and bring them out if anything goes wrong. As they swing back in behind him, they detach the bottom half of the lunar module. Now, they do that because what's going to happen next is a simulation of the rise of Apollo 11 from the surface of the moon after they've finished their exploration down there in July. So, as that 11 comes off, it will have used the bottom half of the lunar module as a launch pad, so that'll be down on the moon. So, back round here at 10 miles, in only the ascent stage, it's a long, slow climb of an orbit and a half, back up to rendezvous and dock with John Young, get rid of the ascent stage of the lunar module, and come home for a splashdown on Monday the 26th, south of Hawaii. Patrick.
Well, the whole space program that's taken so many years is now working up to a tremendous climax. You see, this is the first time that all the aspects have been tested together. Last Christmas, the Apollo 8 astronauts went round the moon, but this was to test the main rocketry, and I think the photography of the moon was to some extent incidental then. And the last Apollo flight, number 9, was purely to test the lunar excursion module in an orbit round the Earth. But now, for the first time, everything is being tested together, so this is an absolutely vital flight. And if all goes well during the next 8 days, we can be pretty confident that men really will land on the moon in July.
So let's now go back to Cape Kennedy and David Dimbleby to see what's going on at this moment.
We're just getting a NASA announcement.
It's 43 seconds and counting. Spacecraft test conductor Skip Chauvin has just completed a final status check of all personnel involved in the spacecraft countdown. He received goes from all participating, 3 particularly strong ones from the 3 astronauts aboard the Apollo 10 spacecraft. The countdown is still proceeding very satisfactorily at this time. We'll have final go-no-go checks from launch director, Houston flight, and mission director coming up in about a minute or so. The weather is go, and the complete Saturn V space vehicle, to include the spacecraft and lunar module, appears to be ready for launch 49 minutes after the hour for the Apollo 10 lunar mission. We've now hit the 6-minute mark. All aspects of the mission go. This is launch control.
So everything is still going well with 5 minutes and 50 seconds now before launch. People standing looking rather casual. In fact, behind them, where we're sitting, there's a great grandstand full of journalists with cameras set up, with stopwatches. Many of them who've seen this launch before and don't have the kind of feeling that those of us that are here for the first time probably do have, a certain nervousness as we wait for the unexpected noise and blast in 5 minutes and 20 seconds from now. The Saturn rocket with the liquid oxygen, which vaporizes like that from the moment that it's put in, whose first stage will, with its 5 F1 engines, will lift the rocket up into the air and get it 35 miles high and 50 miles away before it falls off into the Atlantic, where of course it's not recovered but sinks. Now we wait for NASA to pick up the commentary as this mammoth rocket starts on its journey round the Earth and then to the moon.
This is Apollo Saturn launch control, T-minus 4 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. The Apollo access arm, swing arm number 9, now fully retracted to its fallback position, some 60 feet away from the spacecraft. At liftoff, we will have some 5 swing arms still attached. They will move back automatically at first motion, some 3/4 of an inch after the vehicle takes off. Astronaut Tom Stafford has completed his checks with the spacecraft test conductor. The mission director, George Hage, and the launch director, Rocco Petrone, have given a go for the flight, as has the range. We've now passed the 4-minute mark and proceeding satisfactorily. We are go. This is launch control.
So the launch is going on satisfactorily here. In a moment, NASA will probably pick up directly from the firing room, explaining the final sequence. John King, who handles that, who sits right in the middle of it and sees everything as it happens. 3 minutes, 27 seconds to go to the launch. That first stage of the rocket gives it 7.5 million pounds of thrust. As James Burke was saying, the heaviest thing that's ever been lifted off the face of the Earth. NASA control.
This is Apollo Saturn launch control. We've just passed the 3-minute mark. We've had the firing command. That's the signal that the automatic sequence is now in. The remainder of the count will be handled by the master computer here in the firing room as various of events click off, leading up to the ignition of the 5 engines in the first stage of the Saturn V at the 0, with liftoff at the 0 mark in the count. The actual ignition of those 5 engines will come at 8.9 seconds in the count. We'll have a report of all engines running at the 2-second mark. At that time, and over the next 2 seconds, those engines will be specially checked to assure that we have proper thrust. Once that occurs, we will get commit, meaning that the hold-down arms can release, and we will get liftoff of the Saturn V launch vehicle atop 7.5 million pounds of thrust. We're now coming up toward the 2-minute mark in the count. At this point, the tanks in the vehicle pressurizing. 2 minutes and counting. Our status board indicates here in the control room that all aspects involved are ready. Tom Stafford has just reported back that they want to thank everybody for all the help. We're now at T-minus 1 minute, 45 seconds and counting. We'll go on internal power with the launch vehicle at the 50-second mark. At 17 seconds in the count, the guidance system goes internal. This is guidance reference release. We already have the proper flight azimuth in. Now 90 seconds and counting. Now 90 and counting. The astronauts have turned off their ground communication at this time. However, they are on VHF and, of course, the S-band circuits, as well as the special astronaut communication circuit. 1 minute, 12 seconds and counting. The vehicle tanks beginning to pressurize at this time. Our status board indicates that the 3rd stage tanks are now pressurized. We're coming up on the 60-second mark. 60 seconds and counting. We are go for a mission to the moon at this time. The 2nd stage tanks now pressurizing, and we're coming up on the power transfer. 50 seconds and counting. We have now switched to internal power satisfactorily on the batteries of the first stage, all 3 stages of the Saturn V vehicle. 40 seconds and counting. Tom Stafford making a final check of his computer. The vehicle, all stages pressurized at this time. We're waiting for the swing arms to come back. One should be coming back at this time, a second one at 17 seconds. Tom Stafford reports they are go. We're coming up in the 20-second mark. T-minus 20 seconds and counting. 17 seconds and counting. Guidance internal. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start. Engines on. 5, 4, 3, 2. All engines running. Launch commit. Liftoff. We have liftoff 49 minutes past the hour. Stafford reports the clock has started. The tower is clear.
Tom Stafford acknowledges the roll and pitch program to put Apollo 10 on the proper course. good. Roger. Roll complete, yellow is ready. Roger, roll. And Houston, Mark, 1 Bravo. Roger, 1 Bravo. 1 Bravo is an abort mode dealing with altitude, function of altitude.
Around a little bit in here.
Roger.
Plus 55 seconds.
Cabin is relieving. Copy.
Cabin pressure is relieving.
Roger.
Downrange 1 mile, 3.3 nautical miles high. Eugene Cernan reporting what a ride.
Roger. Roger. You're through the max view. You're looking good.
1 minute, 44 seconds, downrange 7 miles, 12 miles high.
It is the most incredible and beautiful sight as the rocket took off, and we can still see this brilliant yellow flame coming out of the back of it as it goes up there. Here, the whole ground shook and our bodies trembled, and it was as though gunfire was going off all around us as it slowly lifted off the pad, and then suddenly, when it was well up, several feet off the ground already, suddenly the noise hit us and began shaking us here. An incredible sight. And now we still track it on the Igor camera from the Air Force Base.
Roger. Copy, Tom.
And now listen for a moment to NASA's comments as they follow.
Charlie Duke asking the crew to turn off their emergency detection system.
Roger.
Good ignition on the second stage.
Controls, 10 on the S2. It's looking good. Confirm EDS off.
EDS is off. I called it 2 minutes, sir.
Right.
Flight dynamics reports trajectory go at 3 minutes 9 seconds, downrange 81 miles, 46 miles high. Second plane separation, that's the skirt around the engines on the second stage.
Plane sep.
And the launch escape tower has jettisoned.
Man, that staging was quite a sequence. Right, sounded like it. And we have guidance initiate. We confirm that, 10. Roger.
And as Eugene Cernan said, what a ride, what a ride. They're up there now at about 7,500 miles an hour, about 60 miles up, and accelerating fast. Well, as always, in preparation either for bad weather at launch, which we fortunately didn't have today, or for the time when the launch vehicle gets too high for our cameras to see it, as it is now, we're running parallel with the real thing in time, a special animation that goes right through the mission. Let's take a look at that. There it is. Now, in order not to confuse with actual pictures of what's going on at any point, we will always put up the word simulation every time we show it. Now, at this point in time, they're going up on the second stage. They've lost the launch escape tower that would have pulled them away clear if anything had gone wrong. If anything goes wrong now, they simply separate the mother spacecraft from the rest of the rocket and go up into a high orbit and come back down again as in a normal re-entry. What about that, Patrick? What about
Well,
that?
I don't know. Even now, you know, when one's getting almost used to it, it still seems almost incredible that in that rocket there are 3 men bound for another world. This is another perfect takeoff, and there's no reason now, I think, why the mission shouldn't go really well. Quite incredible.
What a ride, as he said, what a ride.
One thing, you know, we probably had a better view of it than the astronauts themselves did.
Well, there's one thing, of course, that we can never describe to you. Nobody can. And that's what it's actually like to be in that rocket as the mission happens. We can try, but what, for example, is it like to be like on top of that rocket there right now? Let's look at that launch again, but this time let the commander, Colonel Stafford, tell you what it's like.
Well, the first thing you will hear is it's like, in a way, the Titan. When the engines, you'll start to feel the engines come up to speed. and then at about -3 to 4 seconds, it'll hold down. When it meets all the parameters, you lift off, and you can feel liftoff like a very slow rise, like a slow-speed elevator. It's no bang. It's just a very slow liftoff. You can feel it on your back. And then through the area where you see a contrail come down, it's maximum dynamic pressure, and it screams and howls in there and rattles around. You know.
I don't think there's anything more we want to hear, so I'll switch my recording off now.
Second stage of the rocket and go ahead on the power of the third stage. And we'll see that on the simulation in a few seconds.
Roger. Bruce, we got good ignition. Roger.
They're reporting they've got good ignition on the third stage.
Thrust is good and guidance has initiated on the S4B stage, the third stage.
Charlie, lots of stuff out the window at staging. We're catching up and passing it now. Okay. Okay. Guidance looks right on for rendezvous prep, Charlie.
Right. We confirm that. It's looking great here. You're looking beautiful.
Tell it burn. We're at 4 minutes. Okay, 4 minutes. Well, that's hard to do with helmets closed on. Give me a monitor, ascent pressure 1 and 2. Let's take another look at it. That's looking good. Engine stop push buttons, all reset, and then abort stage reset. Okay. Push buttons reset. X translation. X translation 4 jets. Okay, Tom. Listen, I'm not reading them, so if they don't make it, you gotta tell me, huh? Roger, they're counting down that. Looking good, Charlie Brown. Okay, Tom, if we got less than 170 feet, if we got more than 170 feet per second to go, we're on RCS. Then we'll RCS maximum 55 seconds, but we will advise. If we're going greater than 170, we're RCS back to our pad Delta V.
John Young asking for status.
there.
John Young asking how they're doing. He can't hear them.
Ags is looking good.
Ags, abort guidance system looking good.
Okay, and our pad Delta V is 220.9, so if we burn less than 170 feet per second, or if we don't get up to 170 feet per second to go, we'll want to burn it back to about 220. Okay?
They want to burn it.
Let's get into the 170 feet per second region.
They want to get 220 feet per
Number
second.
1 closed, circuit breaker. And 1 minute, your stab control AELD closed. Well, I tell you, we are down among them again, going backwards. You know that?
They're down among the rocks and rills again, very low over the moon.
That's got to be probably Diamondback right there. Be awful close to see that. Okay, babe, coming up by 2 minutes.
2 minutes until this insertion burn, and they're swinging low over the moon for the second time. Very clear communication this time, but they're too busy to really look. Going over what would be called Diamondback, what informally in their preparations has been termed Diamondback. This is a reel that looks like a Diamondback rattlesnake.
Okay, 2 minutes, babe. Give it a final trim. Okay, there it is. Okay, my AELD's coming close, Tom.
They're just about 2 kilometers higher.
Verify your inverter number 1 breaker's closed.
Some 17 kilometers.
35 seconds. We want the engine arm to arm. 16. We're on. 15 seconds, so it's going to go in a hurry.
15 seconds. Hopefully they get 220 feet per
220
second.
feet per second, 220.9.
220.9. Yes.
48.
40.
Let's make this one.
48 seconds, counting down. We hear their report 2 seconds late coming back from the moon. 35, 4, 3, 32, 31, 30 seconds.
35 seconds. After I'm done, engine arm, ascent, head control, and auto deadband man, we're set for this attitude on the burn. I'm counting down on 500. Okay, baby.
The engine's got to fire to get him back into the rendezvous with the command module with John Young. 8 seconds.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 99, 3, 2, 1, burn. Burn? Okay. 160 to go.
Roger, Snoopy, you're burning.
134 to go.
You're burning.
100 to go. 78 to go. 50 to go. 20 to go. Stand by, Tom. Okay, I'll null them out. Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Charlie Brown, Houston, he got the burn off. We're in good shape.
They're on the way.
Okay.
Congratulations to the Snoopy.
9.3. That's 0.1.
Nulling out the residuals, taking care of the slight anomalies in the burn track. The burn came off successfully. Snoopy is on his way back.
That made me feel better. Call up Bird 82 when you get a chance.
Snoopy on his way back toward Charlie Brown.
Yeah, says we made a good burn.
Snoop Houston, we copy the residuals. It looks great.
So we got it.
This maneuver,
Burn looks real good. I tell you, we're down here where we can touch the top of some hills, though.
Just in other cases like this, it sounds like to me you can relay through him, because every time you talk to me, I hear him talking in the background.
that's John Young waiting and wondering in Charlie Brown.
Houston, this is Snoopy. It shows us in a 46.7 by 11.0. Over.
Roger, we copy. 46.7 by 11.0.
Okay, Tom, engine arm off. AELD breaker open. Okay, mine's open, master arm off. And inverter number 1 breaker open.
That's Eugene Cernan is now reading out the post-burn checklist, and this, of course, is one of the most dramatic events in any flight, certainly a flight to the moon. We have just heard...
I thought we were wobbling all over the sky. Surprised those residuals ended up where they did. Okay, Euro 180 is fixed down back.
Yeah, a lot clearer. I thought that was great. Okay, when they start talking, I'll key down here and relay through you, over, till you get them again.
That's John Young and Charlie Brown
Yeah, that'll be good.
getting a relay of Snoopy via the Earth. He's about 400 nautical miles away, 350 to 400 miles. And Stafford and Cernan can certainly breathe a great sigh of relief over this vital burn of the ascent propulsion system. The next maneuvers will be done with the reaction control thrust.
We recommend for your next maneuver you should load the DAP with a half a degree per second. We see 0.2 now, over.
That's all of the big... That's the vital burn of the ascent propulsion system engine, insertion into orbit, and the rest of these maneuvers for rendezvous will be with the reaction control system, the smaller thrusters on board the LEM.
We'll be coming in up here too now, Red.
You heard an excited Eugene Cernan as he was counting down not only to staging of the bottom half of the LEM, the DPS, the DIPS as they call it, descent propulsion system stage, but also the staging itself in 7 minutes, just a little late as a matter of fact. They were getting tight in their timeline of taking care of all of the checklist. And then 7 minutes later, the very thrilling and exciting confirmation of the ascent propulsion system engine burning all the way to some 220 feet per second delta velocity being imparted into the spacecraft. Actually, it's removing some of the speed so that they would not swing high above the Earth again.
That last little piece was, as you probably realize, the moon vehicle itself. Practice it. Wait a minute, I'm just going to turn this down a bit. Yes, well, that was the moon vehicle restarting its engines and coming back out into orbit round the moon to make a contact with the original spaceship. They had a little trouble with the firing of the engines. In fact, the thing started skiddling around after they dropped their base, which is meant to be left on the moon originally. In the ultimate moonshot, when the men get out the moon, they're going to leave this spaceship, the base piece, on the moon and shoot off from it. But this time they shot off from it at about 9 or 10 miles from the moon. And when they did that, they had left one of the switches in auto instead of hold, and I suppose one of the engines went off and started gyrating the little moon ship around a bit. However, that was it.
Being hauled into the helicopter. When he looks up, he will see painted on the bottom of that helicopter a special welcome sign. It's got two big eyes and a message, "Hi there, Charlie Brown." And that goes up at 1 foot a second. The net's on the end of a 40-foot cable, so it took 40 seconds, and he's now right in the cargo hatch of the helicopter.
As they were whisked towards the ship, the relaxed astronauts learned they'd landed closer to the target area than the recovery vessel itself. Awaiting them on board was the first of many exhausting debriefing sessions.
Oh gosh, they're in their blue jumpers. He greets Eugene Cernan first, then John Young, then Colonel Stafford. Colonel Stafford in the middle, he's bald, 6 feet even, about 175 pounds. Cernan about the same height, very lean, spraying close cropped hair. He's on the left. And a cheer from the sailors. John Young, the smallest, 5 feet 9. All of
behalf of the officers and men of the recovery group, I'd like to welcome Apollo 10 back to Earth. Colonel Stafford, if you and Commander Young and Commander Cernan would care to say a few words to the ship's company, we'd be very appreciative, sir.
Well, first of all, it's really great to be back from the moon, and all of us feel in great shape, and I can't tell how much we appreciate all the support from the people around the world. If you can see us back in Houston with Chris and Deke, George Lowe and all of them, and also how much we think we've increased the knowledge of man's environment we're going to press on here. It was a tremendous team effort, and it was all shared over all of us, and here's another man from Gino.
Secondly, they got more work and technological information from the mooncraft Snoopy than they'd expected. What no one knows yet is whether Cernan and Stafford did get any good close-up film of the prospective moon landing site. They certainly had trouble with jamming cameras. From Houston, my colleague Reginald Turnhill reports that the doctors would like to postpone the moon landing flight to August, on the grounds that the preparation program for the crew might leave them exhausted before they even set off. But after the success of Apollo 10, and with the political pressures for speed, everything seems set for a landing on the moon in July, probably on July 21st.
Kent and England cricket captain Colin Carr